Hi there, my name is Justin DeLay and I'd like to talk to you today about the happiness graph. So here's a crazy idea. Let's make the world a happier place. Now that doesn't mean ice cream and beaches for all. What it means is connecting us with the moments, the relationships, the opportunities, and the ideas that truly make us happy over the course of our lives. But here's the problem. The research, specifically the work done by Daniel Gilbert in his book Stumbling on Happiness, it shows that we aren't very good at understanding how to make ourselves happy beyond each day's little triumphs or delights. We spend our whole lives doing things that we think will either make us happy right now or at some point in the distant future. But unfortunately, too often, after that immediate moment has passed or when that distant future has arrived, we realize that what we chose to do or not to do actually didn't make us happier at all. And so the solution is to leverage the coming wave of pervasive social mobile technology to create an open system that teaches individuals how to collect, reflect, and ultimately act on their changing emotions. Everything we do has an emotional context, a simple plus or minus change in our immediate feelings. Every interaction we share, every activity we undergo, every idea that we imagine, makes us a little bit happier or sadder, even just for a little instant. And these small changes, these small bits of emotional data, if collected and reflected upon, can unearth powerful patterns of behavior, really illuminating what makes us smile, what causes us stress, what hurts our motivation or fills us with joy. This data over time forms a happiness graph, and it could truly change the world. So the social graph, which is the academic name for the network of interpersonal relationships that we build, it's really been brought to life by services like Facebook and Twitter, and it's literally rewoven the fabric of our society already. And so now the emerging interest graph, which is the connections we form with the places, objects, and content that we like on Facebook or retweet on Twitter, check into on Foursquare, or rate on Netflix or Amazon or iTunes. That interest graph is poised to, again, revolutionize the way that we interact with brands and businesses and products and media. But what's missing from the social graph and the interest graph is us. We are literally the center of these universes of connections we're creating, yet we aren't really creating connections with ourselves. We're missing the underlying happiness graph that informs all of these connections, and ultimately we're missing on what actually makes us happy. So, how do we create the happiness graph? Well, so building on the really pioneering work of the personal informatics community, we're beginning to understand how to leverage technology and sensors and mobile devices and location tracking, all these things to collect tremendous real-time data about ourselves. And additionally, we already have a trail of status updates and location check-ins and bank statements and health records, they're just scattered across the web. And this data, if freed from its traditional silos, can offer a really powerful look into our already occurring patterns of emotion and behavior over time. But what we need is a way to stitch all of this disparate data together. What we need is an emotion API. So an API is a software engineering term that stands for Application Programming Interface, and it's the way that a tremendous amount of the software and hardware that we use today is able to connect and share information, back and forth, really invisible to us as the end user. And so an emotion API that stitches together the data that we already create is a really powerful first step, because at the end of the day it requires really little or no change in behavior on the individual's behalf. But this passive feelings tracking just isn't enough. What we need is a whole new generation of hardware and software tools that build on the Emotion API and encourage users to actively engage in their happiness graph, to record their emotional states and the underlying context, and then teach individuals to visualize and reflect on and ultimately make changes in their lives based on the patterns that emerge from their happiness graph. And of course, all this has to be done in a simple, unobtrusive, and rewarding way. And it's important to note that this isn't science fiction. Right here at the School of Information, here at the university, my classmates and professors are designing, technology and sensors and mobile applications that are already starting to help individuals track data about their lives and track their feelings. But again, what's really needed is a way to stitch it all together. So, a couple examples. Imagine if your smartphone could automatically log your location, identify who you're there with, and then measure your stress level, either via your heart rate or your galvanic skin response, and then take all this data and combine it with your happiness graph. And it could then reveal to you over time, the places and people that elevate or relax your stress level. So imagine if your refrigerator knew all the foods you eat and talked to your weight scale, and also talked to your Nike Plus run tracking device, and meshed all that data again back into your happiness graph, and could show you how over time your diet and exercise affect your emotional state. Or imagine if your happiness graph talked to the graph of your trusted friends and family, and allowed you to better understand your impact on the happiness of others. Now, the challenge here is in changing behavior to make us more aware of our emotions, more willing to acknowledge, record, and reflect on them. Changing our minds about our presumed sources of happiness or stress, and making it okay to admit, when we aren't happy, or more willing to accept the fact that actually things are okay. It's a big challenge, but if we can do it, if we can solve it, the possibilities are really endless. The happiness graph could revolutionize education. Teachers could understand and react to their students' changing emotions in real time. Ultimately creating a happier, more productive learning environment. The happiness graph could change healthcare. We'd be better able to understand the physical and emotional signs of stress sooner, to better react and make preventative changes. We could make smarter diet and exercise choices by better understanding how fitness and foods impact our longer-term happiness. The happiness graph could improve communities and governments by creating a real-time voice for the emotional well-being and the will of the citizens. The happiness graph will even make business better. Imagine receiving special offers from the brands that truly make you happy, or being able to communicate your frustrations or stresses with a product or service back to the company in real time. But ultimately the point is that the happiness graph can make us better. It can help us reflect on our relationships, our careers, our lifestyles, and ourselves. It will teach us that it's okay to be upset or to feel stressed or disappointed, because these feelings, when we capture them and reflect upon them in a context, they transition from something that happens to us that's sort of beyond our understanding or control. They transition to something that happens naturally within us, and they're ultimately within our grasp of understanding and action. And ultimately the happiness graph will allow us to lead fuller, richer, more rewarding lives, because we'll be able to focus our attention and resources on the relationships and places and occupations that truly fill us with lasting, life-changing joy. Happiness, what a crazy idea. Thank you.